So one of the people I subscribe to, I saw that he reviewed this movie that just came to Netflix called Veronica. Now I didn't watch his review because I wanted to go in cold, but he usually reviews pretty good stuff. So I had high hopes, and then I Googled the name, and an article came up that said, Veronica, is it the scariest movie ever? Not the scariest Netflix movie, not the scariest movie that came out this year, the scariest movie ever. Just this awful clickbaity title. And I gotta tell you, that article I read really ruined the movie because I believed it. It suckered me in. I thought this was going to be a really, really scary movie. And while there was a lot to like, I didn't find it that scary. And that's not because I'm a tough guy and don't get scared by movies. I get scared by movies all the time. So there was a lot to like. This whole thing is taking place during an eclipse, or when there's these three girls and they're doing a séance to contact dead people, and they do it during an eclipse because the teacher in their class says, look, during eclipses, ancient cultures, they believed that what happened in the heavens, it reflected on how people were behaving on earth. So during times when there was an eclipse and there was only darkness, well, then darkness reigned on earth and dark elements reigned, and that was the best time for things like human sacrifices, or in their case, trying to contact the dead. So these three high school girls do this seance with a Ouija board, and the eponymous Veronica thinks that she's been possessed by a demon. And what I loved was they show her interactions with her friends, where she just starts coming across as more and more crazy and unhinged, and it sets up that whole unreliable narrative where, is she really possessed, or is it all in her head? And I thought the design of the ghosts or spirits that we see was pretty good. We see some really creepy silhouettes, some shadows, and at some points we see hands actually grabbing you. And I like this. It was a nice mix of this kind of otherworldly, something you can't touch horror, but also something that's physical and can touch you. Oftentimes ghosts, they're very scary and they're slamming things, but they draw the line at ghosts actually touching you. Here, the ghosts grab your throat, the ghosts smack you a few times, so I thought that was an interesting little wrinkle. And then what I really liked is at the end, they do the whole, this is all based on a true story, but they actually show photos, at least what I think are real photos of the actual police investigation, and you see it matches up with things that we saw in the movie. So in the movie, you see a mattress, and there's a stain on the bottom of it in this kind of silhouette of a person or a spirit, and then at the end of the movie, they show you an actual photo with a mattress that looks very similar. So I know oftentimes that at the end of the movie they say, oh, this is based on true events, but I loved how they showed the corresponding photos. It made it feel even creepier. So there was a lot to like, and I'll talk about a few more things I really liked at the end. It's a bit more spoilerish, so I'll save it till there. But bottom line, I didn't find it scary while I was watching the movie. I didn't find it scary afterwards. I watched it right before going to bed, and I slept like a baby, no nightmares. So I really was a bit let down, especially when it was hyped up as the scariest movie of all time. And that website, by the way, I read the article after the movie, and the evidence they had was a few tweets. One of the tweets is just someone, oh, this is a really scary movie. It had like 13 likes. So it's just awful clickbait article. Don't believe the hype of anyone saying this is one of the scariest movies. It's not. If you're a big fan of horror, I don't think you'll be scared of it at all. The only people who might be scared by this are people who don't watch any horror movies. So if you're a big fan of the genre, you might like it because, again, it's competently put together. There's some interesting wrinkles and aspects you'll like. Is this going to be one of your favorite movies and one of the movies that really scare you and you watch again and again? No, absolutely not. I wouldn't even say this is must watch. So it is a good movie. And I will mention the lead actress is brilliant. I think she gives a great performance. I think the casting is great. She has a great look, very relatable, but also very sinister. You see these hints of potential for darkness. Reminds you of a bit of Samara from The Ring if she grew up. Again, very beautiful actress, but really good casting for a horror movie. And her performance throughout coming across as just a typical kind of bratty teenager initially. Then you start to see her interactions with her siblings, how she's kind of a surrogate mom. You really start to feel for her. And then you slowly start to see her unraveling and deteriorating mental state. And she pulls it all off. And I could say, I think she really carries this movie. I think with a different actress, this movie wouldn't be nearly as good. And last thing, I'll say a few more things I liked about the movie. They're minor spoilers, not major spoilers. You can't really spoil this movie too much, but if you want to go in pretty fresh, don't watch anymore. So there's this one scene where the three kids, three of the siblings, she wakes up and they're all kind of playing with her and they're laughing, and then they just start eating her. And they're still laughing, they're still smiling, but they're just eating her, and you see the terror on her face. And that was just a great sequence, a really excellent sequence, and I think worth the watch or worth finding that sequence because I thought it was very good, very unsettling. And then one of the kids was so cute, and he had such a great look, and he was such a cute kid that by the end, when they're having the epic finale and he's in danger, you really did feel for him. And I thought that was rare. Oftentimes with horror movies, they're just kind of people and you don't really feel for them. But with him, you really felt like you felt for him a lot. So it did raise the stakes in that final sequence where I was a bit more tense than I would be because I really did want things to work out for him because he, again, just such a cute kid. And in that final sequence, Veronica, she's running around being chased and the camera, it started getting shaky, a bit like found footage, and then the camera kind of spins and then we just see this dark, blurry image and the camera is just lingering on it and we can't tell what the image is. Now, normally I don't really like when movies are dark and you can't tell what's going on, but this shot was just brilliant. I thought how it's following her and the camera's getting dizzy and then it's just focused on this blurry image and blurry darkness and you can't tell what it is. And then eventually you realize it's her. You kind of see more and more of her and it's her. She's fallen and tripped and her face is all bloody. That shot there was just really good. And then the shot of Veronica, she's standing, she's looking at herself in the mirror and she's holding this broken shard of glass and then she slits her throat. And as you see her about to slit her throat, just again, the combination of the casting of the actress, her look, how they made her look so disheveled and she's just been through hell and then she's just holding the shard, clutching in her hand. It was just a great image. So again, I'll say this movie did have its moments. It just, as a whole, I didn't find it a particularly scary movie. And that's why maybe I'm being a little hard on it. But as far as a horror movie that's going to scare you, that if I'm grading it on that, as far as how scary it is, I can't grade it too highly.